Hey guys, so I actually received an interesting comment and kind of had a conversation on my one of my short videos actually, and what they were talking about was it was a person who they were saying they were having trouble affording a guitar, which is very fair. So I asked them if it would be helpful if I did a video on what to look for in a guitar when you are buying it. And they said that would be helpful, so I figured, video idea, let's do it. So I'm not entirely sure how to categorize this video because it's certainly about gear, but it's also kind of an instructional thing. Because the way I see it is like, yes, it's not like I'm teaching you how to play a guitar, but buying a working instrument is kind of important. Especially since, like, I was looking at some of the prices that are out there for some of the newer products, and, like, sorry, I'm going to rant a little bit, but holy crap. This is ridiculous. I do have a sheet here just to some notes that I made. But, like, I looked it up, and the Fender Ultra Luxe Telecaster, $4,000 in Canada. $4,000. No, granted, that's like the top of the top line, top end, at least of the factory models for a Fender Telecaster. But, like, I'm sorry, Tellies are not that difficult to make. I mean, a Telecaster, it's, well, to quote Brad Paisley, it's a cutting board with a neck. But I started looking at it more, too, like the Ventera 2. There's a Jaguar out there. It's a made in Mexico. This was supposed to be the standard line. The Mexican-made instruments were supposed to be your entryway into Fender guitars. $2,000. $2,000. Even the player line, which before that was the made in Mexico, it was called the standard line. They're going over $1,300 now. That's insane. So I think that if people are going to be wanting to buy instruments, particularly, I mean, I'm filming this, it's midway through September, but I mean, it's going to be out probably by the end of the month. Like, we're entering the holiday season when people are going to be buying guitars for their kids. And they may not necessarily be guitar players themselves. So I think having someone to tell you what to look for, so you're going to have to buy used instruments. That's pretty much just a reality. Sorry. I think that's going to be a reality for a lot of players out there and a lot of parents, because $1,300. $1,300 on the low end for a Fender Telly, a standard Telly. It's not even an American one. Okay? That's nuts. All right? So I think a lot of people are going to start looking at used instruments, which you should. You should look at used instruments. They're a great value. They're a great deal often. You can find some really great stuff, and you can save a lot of money. So, but with used instruments, particularly because when you buy it used, it's not like they don't usually come with a warranty or anything. You want to know what you're looking at so that you don't buy a lemon. All right? Now, I will say this, affordable guitars, guitar manufacturing has actually become a lot more reliable in the past few years, and that's mainly due to, like, standardization machines. You know, you go to some of these factories and they're basically just, they're just, it's a machine, right? It's factory line. They're making these guitars, and they can make them really, really exact with CNC machines, which in a lot of ways is a good thing because it means you can get quality instruments. Because I got to tell you, way back when, a cheap guitar, expensive firewood. Nowadays, not so bad. So I'm going to run you through what I do whenever I am looking at buying an instrument. Okay? Some of this is very subjective, but most of it you can take and apply to any kind of a guitar, or a bass for that matter, or an acoustic guitar. And the guitar I'm going to use to demonstrate this is actually, I got this in a trade. This is a Squier Classic Vibe Stratocaster. Now, Squier is Fender's beginner brand, but I mean, even then, this thing brand new is $650, which again, it's a lot of money for a lot of people out there. So anyway, yeah, that's about it. I want to get into what I look for when I'm buying an instrument to make sure to test the guitar out, to make sure that I'm buying something decent. All right? Now, the first part is kind of hard for me to advise other than to look at general feel and the general sound. That's number one. So this is completely subjective, okay? What's comfortable for one guitar player might not be comfortable for another person, all right? I find the Stratocaster shape incredibly comfortable. I think it's fair to say that a lot of people do as well. Other people do. It's completely subjective, all right? But you want to see how the neck feels in your hand. And this isn't even necessarily a knock against the guitar, because there's some really, really great guitars out there that maybe just don't feel that good to the average musician or to you. A good example for me personally, I've owned a handful of PRS guitars. PRS guitars, the craftsmanship is amazing. They're great instruments. They certainly aren't giving them away, but they're amazing instruments. The neck just doesn't work for me. Okay, so I avoid PRS guitars. Another example would be a Gibson Les Paul. Most Gibson Les Pauls are really good guitars. I find them incredibly heavy, so I don't buy them. So the first part is incredibly subjective, all right? How does it feel? Do you like the feel of it? When you're going to look at this guitar, bring a strap with you. You want to try the guitar sitting down and standing up, all right? All right, you want to see how it feels, how it sits in the lap. Is it comfortable to play? And yeah, put your hand on it. Does it feel good when you're pressing the notes down? Now, a lot of the standard guitar shapes, they're going to feel good, but some of them they can be a little wonky. A good example, that doesn't mean they're bad, but a good example is actually the Flying V. I've owned a Flying V before. I find them a lot of fun, but there's no way around it. You can't really use it like a typical guitar. It's kind of difficult to kind of put it on your knee. When it's got those two big horns, it doesn't really work, unlike the Stratocaster. Unlike the Stratocaster, which sits quite comfortably right there, okay? So yeah, first things first, look at the general feel of it. How does it feel? How does the neck feel in your hand? All right? Also, I'm going to tell you, maybe look in a mirror. That might sound a little odd, but you want to, quite frankly, when you look at yourself in the mirror, when you're holding a guitar, you want to feel cool. You want to feel cool. That's why a lot of people went into guitar. They wanted to feel cool. They wanted to feel like a rock star. They wanted to set themselves apart from maybe their classmates or something. It's just a reality. So look yourself in a mirror and decide if that is part of the image that you want to put forward with that guitar. All right? I like this Strat. I love the surf green. It's a great color. And I like to think that it fits my style as a musician. Okay? So that's number one. Now, the second part is the sound. Again, very subjective, all right? But generally, okay, it depends on kind of what the style of music, but you want to be able to plug the guitar in and see what the guitar sounds like. And you also have to think of what kind of music you want to play. So, generally speaking, guitars with single coils, like this one, you'll notice the single coils refers to the pickups. These are the pickups, all right? Generally, single coils, okay? Don't get me wrong, they sound great, but there is one issue. They can produce what's called 60-cycle hum. So, I'm not sure if you can actually hear it, but it might be coming through. Let me see if I can make that really... There you go. See, you can hear that, right? I turned up the guitar on the mixer. Okay. That hum makes it difficult if the person who's playing the guitar is going to be playing what's called high gain music. High gain music, it's the dirt, it's the crunch. When you hear a song that the rock and roll sounds like a car wreck, right? Now, if you're going to go for that, if the person who's going to be playing the guitar wants to, that's the kind of music they're going to want to play, they're probably not going to want to go for single coils. You can make it work. I can already see people yelling at me in the comments. All right? But generally speaking, you're going to want what's called a humbucker, a humbucker-equipped guitar. I'll include a picture right to my left over here about that. It gives you a much better idea of, it generally gives you this not a better sound, but more the sound what those kind of players are looking for, all right? For the most part, if you're like a metal player, you're probably not going to play a guitar with these kinds of single coils, okay? Because a humbucker is essentially two of these taped up together, essentially, all right? Now, on the flip side, if you're going to be doing a lot of country music, that sort of thing, this kind of guitar might be right up your alley. Mess that up, but... much better, okay? So that's just something I would recommend. Also, with an acoustic guitar, give it a good strum. And if it has electronics, which I always encourage you to buy an acoustic guitar with electronics. It's a pain in the ass to install them after, so just buy the guitar with electronics. But if it's an acoustic guitar, strum it, play a couple of different songs with it, just to find out if that sound is what you are looking for. Okay? So that was number 2, I think. Yeah. All right. Number 3, third thing to look at. All of these knobs and stuff, okay? On an acoustic guitar, if it's an acoustic electric, you got to check that as well. If it doesn't have that, fair enough, all right? But on an electric guitar, you want to make sure that all of the knobs work, okay? There's some variation, but for the most part, each of these pickups is going to have at least a volume control and possibly a tone control. Alternatively, you might have a volume control, which on this guitar is right here, and a tone control. You might have one that kind of does the entire guitar. Fair enough, all right? But give the guitar a strum, check the volume, make sure that it works, okay? Makes sense, right? This one's working fine. If you hear any kind of like scratching or if the pickup doesn't make a noise, put it back, okay? Now, onto the tone knob. So I just turn the tone way down. You notice it's almost muddy, right? And if I bring it back in, most tone knobs essentially are just controlling what's called treble. There are bass tone knobs, but they're kind of harder to find, especially in like budget models. But yeah, you can check that. There, the tone is completely maxed on this one. Makes sense, right? Now, this little switch right here, and most guitars have something like this, okay? This is a pickup selector switch, all right? So depending on the position that this switch is in, it activates which pickup is going to be on, all right? So right now, I'm right at the top. It's just this pickup alone, which is going to have a very round kind of sound. Then if I go down one, it's actually both of this pickup and this one. Very popular tone setting on this style of guitar. Then the next position is actually just the middle pickup. Down again, it's the middle and what's called the bridge pickup, which is right here. Makes sense. So you've kind of heard that right there. That's the Strat quack that the Stratocaster is known for. Okay. Then if I go all the way down, that's just this bridge pickup right here, and it's pretty twangy. But while you're checking them, you want to check the volume knob for each of those pickups and the tone knob for each one. This one works great, so. So yeah, you want to make sure that all the electronics are working fine with the guitar. Most of them are a relatively easy fix if there is something wrong with it. But, I mean, especially if you're buying for a beginner or if this is like a parent is watching this, okay, don't bother. If any of it's not working, just pass and move on to something else, okay? Now, the next up is the hardware, okay? So this is just to make sure that everything else on the guitar is working fine. So is the jack working fine? Like, did you plug the guitar in and there was no problem whatsoever? Is it in there relatively snug? Okay? All important questions. This bridge. The bridge, there are a few different types of bridges, but for the most part on an electric guitar, bridge is going to have what are called these saddles, and you can actually adjust these saddles, which actually lengthens the string or shortens it up, okay? You want to see that they're working fine. You can actually notice that they have little screws on here, okay? That'll actually make them go up and down, all right? Oops. You want to make sure that, first off, that they're not too low, basically against the metal part, and they're not too high, all right? What that means is that basically the person was having a hard time setting the guitar up, which setting the guitar up basically just means, you know, adjusting everything to make it as playable as possible. It means that they had a hard time setting it up and basically had to go through the maximum setting just to get it to work, all right? Not good, walk away from it, okay? This one's working pretty well. So yeah, you want to make sure that everything's working. Also, these tuners, okay? A tuner, it should basically, it tightens and loosens the string. So I just loosen this one up. I think I'm close. Close-ish, okay? All right. You want to make sure that it's relatively smooth, that you don't hear any pings in it. That can be a problem as well, all right? But make sure that they're all there. There should be 6 of them, 1 for each string, and that when you move them like that, that it's completely smooth, okay? Now, the next item. Okay, I believe I'm on I think this is the final step, okay? This is when you start looking at the action and the setup on a guitar, okay? So what action refers to is basically, if you look here, action refers to how far the string is off the fretboard, okay? So this guitar, the action is relatively low. Okay, I'm just trying to set that up, see if you can kind of see it. Might even see if I can do like a zoom in for this section. Yeah, okay? You want it relatively low for the most part, especially on an electric guitar. Now, on an acoustic guitar, there's a little bit of an allowance. It's going to be a little bit higher, not by much, though. Same thing with a bass, okay? But you can also have it too low, and if it's too low, you're going to hear a lot of buzzing, and the notes won't actually work when you go to play a note. So the quickest way to make sure that you have no spots is basically just to go to the note. You'll notice when I did that, it made a clear note. It played a clear note for every fret that I went to, okay? If there's an issue with the setup, if it's too low, you'll actually hear buzzing and it won't actually make the complete sound. So when I'm looking at a guitar to buy a guitar, I will do that for every single string. I'll do that for every one of them to make sure that it's working correctly as it should, because otherwise I know that I'm going to have to spend a little bit of time and or money setting the guitar up, and frankly, no one has time for that. All right? Now, the next thing that you should do, and this is a little bit more advanced, okay? And it is a little bit more advanced, but it's really not that hard, okay? You can download a tuner app, or if you're buying this from somewhere, they're going to have a tuner on them, okay? But you can download free tuner apps to your phone, all right? And you're going to want to tune the guitar up, okay? So it's E, A, D, G, B, E. And here's the real simple thing, okay? You play a string open, and it should sound the same note, at least damn close, at the 12th fret. Obviously, it's a little bit higher because it's a full octave, okay? So that's a G, G. All right? What that means is that if you do it that way and both of the notes are reasonably close to each other, okay, if they're the same note, what it means is that whenever you play a note, it's going to be accurate. That's what's called intonation. Intonation refers to whether the instrument actually plays the notes where it's supposed to play it. Okay? So this is supposed to be a G note. It's a G note. All right? If the guitar isn't doing that, walk away. All right? And that's really about it, what I do when I'm testing out a guitar. Now, look, I realize some of this can be a little bit intimidating, particularly if you yourself don't actually play guitar. I've tried to make this video as accessible as possible, particularly for parents who maybe they don't play themselves, but they want to buy a guitar for their kid. So I hope I've helped out a little bit. I hope I've given you a hand. Please like and subscribe. Actually, you know what? Before I do the whole shameless self-promotion, something else I'll also mention. If you're a parent who's buying their child their first guitar and you don't play guitar, bring a friend, okay? Most guitar players that I know, if you say this to them and say, listen, I'm looking at this guitar for my child, can you come and look at it to check it out? Most guitar players that I know are going to jump at the chance. They're just going to find it fun more than anything. So, you know, try and do that. I've personally done that a few times for either family members or close friends. Went to people's houses, like, hey, is this a decent guitar? Oh yeah, sure. And they can also give you a better idea of like what the cost of these things is. All right. So like just as an example, this guitar brand new is $650 plus tax. Used, probably wouldn't pay more than $5 for it. Okay? Actually, that's probably a decent price on this guitar. Maybe even $400. But yeah, like I had one friend who I went over to this guy's house to look at a guitar for my friend's son, and like the guy, he was asking for basically, I think he maybe took like $100 off of the new price, and I was like, well, it's used, buy it. And I'm like, well, dude, you can get this thing a heck of a lot cheaper in other places. So yeah, if you have a guitar playing friend, bring them with you to check this stuff out. But you can get really good deals. A lot of guitar shops carry used gear. Most do, from what I've seen. Hawk shops, pawn shops. I love pawn shops. They're a lot of fun, okay? You can find decent stuff. Also, Facebook Marketplace and Kijiji. Of course, you know, practice best practices to keep yourself safe. But for the most part, you can try stuff out and find a used instrument, you know, that won't break the bank, especially with the prices nowadays. And, you know, will give your son or daughter a really good chance at starting on their new hobby. Anyway, folks, this is Sandy Ridge from Sandy's Guitars. I hope this video has been helpful. Please hit the little subscribe button. You'd be helping me out a lot. Also, if you have a child who's going to be playing, I'm going to be offering a lot of free lessons. So just videos, check it out. You'd be helping me out. I'm also on Twitter. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook. So, you know, check those out. The links will be in the description. Thanks, guys, and yeah, hope we've helped you out. Have a great day. Have fun. Keep playing. And I'll catch you next time. Take care.